That just gave me chills, man.
I don't want to disrespect it. They're just not good.
We'll see how long they do that for.
I don't know what's going on with me. I'm not okay.
I had a point of like, well, what's next?
Like, I actually hate how much I like what I do.
You know, you just want to say, F you, I'm going to do this.
There's a moment when every boy becomes a man when he realizes that no one's coming.
So are you still at Funky?
Yeah. I've been at Funky since 2019. I think 19.1 wall balls and rowing. I don't know if you did the open then.
I didn't then.
15 minutes of 19 cals on the rower and 19 wall balls. Just 15 minutes, dude. It was fucking
it's disgusting.
It was terrible. But in the pre-work you sent me, I put something about my hip because it's different. Funky is different then versus now because we had a change of ownership during COVID, which really unfortunate for them. Honestly.
Absolutely.
Like, they bought it in like mid-March of 2020. So
right before
time.
everything shut down and blew up.
Yeah, I felt really bad for them. But so that's a change. I think I've changed too. My approach to fitness and priorities, etc., as like business and life just takes off. But probably back end of 22, early 2023, I was super fit. I don't want to say the fittest I've ever been because I like to think I'll get back to that.
Right.
But at that point, the fittest I ever was. Super strong. I won't get into like details, but I was very fit, rounded.
Best you ever felt.
Yes, very rounded, but my body wasn't really participating in that. So I started feeling some like glimmers of like just something in my hip. It was weird. Deep, not like surface, deep.
Okay.
And I kind of just ignored it.
As most
any
people our age
high-level
would.
athlete does. So it really started setting in like summer of 22 and then creeping down back into 22, early 23, the Open, quarterfinals. And then about probably April, May of 23, like it was getting to a point where I was like, this isn't, right. For sure it's not right. So I went and seeked, not that I needed something, but I went to a chiropractor and I seeked out a PT who actually ended up being my childhood babysitter.
Oh, wow.
Long story short, we can get into that. But she referred me to a doctor, an ortho, got an MRI. I was really hoping it was a torn labrum. Because do you know what that it means?
I've heard of people getting a torn labrum.
Imagine a bowl upside down, and on the brim there's like a rubber band. That rubber band is the labrum of your pelvis.
Got it.
And then your femur sits into it.
Okay.
I was really hoping my labrum was torn because then for me, with where I come from, I was like, dude, definitive. It's structured. I can recover. Like, path is set to maybe slow down to go fast. Whatever, that's fine. But it wasn't. X-ray, CT, everything came back. Like, literally nothing's wrong. I have a decaying of cartilage. And I was 30 at the time. And I'm like, so what's that mean? They're like, quote unquote, you have early onset arthritis.
Jeez.
Right. And I was like, that's not what I want to hear when I'm 30.
Heck no.
So, I start going into like full PT mode because in addition to that, part of my problem with my hips is they're set forwards. So imagine you're just standing upright and you stick your butt out slightly. That's how my hips are all the time without even trying.
Yeah.
So I can correct that at least. I can't really correct arthritis. So my PT mindset was like, if I can fix my hips, I can just prolong this thing. Maybe I have to change some things, adapt some things, whatever. But then I kind of came to terms with the fact, like, it's not really going to get back to where it was. Like, It's just Mother Nature. Like, it's just not going to. And I really, for the first time, had to start seeing my future self, which a big thing for me. Like, I always... like sometimes people ask me like, what drives you, what motivates you, et cetera. I'm like, well, I always kind of envision the 40-year-old version, the 50-year-old version of who I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think about that person, you know, not like not the tangible things that they have, etc.
Sure.
More the intangibles, like how do they sleep? How do they eat? How do they treat people? How do they talk? How do they carry themselves? What are their routines? What are their habits? Things of that nature. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
So inevitably over time, my logic is like, well, when I get to 40, I'll be better than that person, inevitably.
Yeah.
And so, but bringing it back to my hip, with the identity and why I said I'm different is before and after that diagnosis, that hip diagnosis, I'll call it, because I went to the doctor in October of 23, got a cortisone shot, like against my will, didn't want to, but like I needed one for like pain and like I couldn't sit in this chair. I couldn't stand up from this chair. There was no chance I was walking down here alone. Like then, it was that bad.
And that was at 30.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so the cortisone shot helped a lot, but my thinking was like, I don't ever want to get one again, because usually when you get cortisone, you get another one and so on. Like,
right.
I'm not doing that. I'm 30. Like, once a year, like, dude, no way. Like, this is not good. So
yeah, and I'm not a medical doctor, but from what I've heard is like they become less effective over time.
And like,
too.
You're not supposed to get more than like 3 or something. But anyways, did that, and then I started going into PT mode, and I really just had to actually, for the first real time, think about my future self, of like, because when you think about yourself when you're 30, 40, etc., you probably, like, I always saw myself as being able to physically do all the things I could do now. I'm just older. Like, I never thought I wouldn't be able to, you know, clean and jerk 300 pounds or whatever. Like, I never thought I wouldn't be able to do that. I simply was like, I just won't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right. It's like with soccer, when I walked away from soccer to get into coaching, A, it was time, but B, like, I did that on my terms. Like, I was cool with it. I was ready for the coaching transition. And with this regard, like, having to like step back from the competitive fitness portion of me, because like I stopped playing soccer, and immediately once I stopped, I started CrossFit. So I still got that fixed, just in a different way. And this time with this, that wasn't on my terms, and I had to face that in the mirror every day, and that was really hard for me. Like October, November, December of 23, so relatively recently.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not one to like talk about any mental health, because like I don't have a place, and that would diminish what anyone else has. Because I don't have any mental health issues. Like, I don't show any signs. But my point, like, something was going on for sure. And I do a really good job, candidly, of like masking that from a lot of people, the world, because I tend to always choose to see the positive in things.
Yeah.
And almost choose to not see the negative at the same time. Like, I just ignore it and pretend it's not there. And so I had to like face the reality of like, you're probably more than likely never going to get back to where you were at 30. And that made things really different for me going forward, from my mindset, from how I looked at things, priority changes. In literally during that time that I mentioned, I went to this thing, with home office. I qualified. Only 2% of advisors qualify ever in their career. It's called Fast Track. They have 5 classes a year of like 60 advisors that come. They literally bring you in. They stay in the Pfister, big self-development thing, kind of like a Kumbaya, trust falls type thing.
Sure.
Not my vibe at all first, but you know, day one goes by and I'm like, dude, I'm here for 6 more days. Cause how that worked was like, I had to qualify, then I got nominated, then I got selected. And then I had to take a week out of my business, which you know what that's like when you're not working.
Yep.
You're like anxious. And then I'm like, so I had to qualify to go. I got selected and nominated to go. I had to take time off, which means I'm not working, which means I'm not making money. I had to pay to go. I got reimbursed, but you still got to pay for it. what am I missing? Like, why? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and so, but then I was like, because all my mentors, my managing director, they're all like, dude, you have to go. You have to go. And I was like, I could see the writing on the walls, like trust falls, this isn't me. This
Yeah.
isn't me. This isn't me. But I decided after one day, I was like, dude, if I'm going to be here, I'm just going to be here.
Yeah. Be all in.
I'm just gonna drink the Kool-Aid. Like, I know I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, whatever. And I got a lot out of it that was really good for that time. If I wasn't going through that, I don't think it would have made that impact on me.
And this was happening the same time as like your hip
End of
injury.
October. Yep.
Okay.
So like right at the beginning of me facing this reality of like, it's not going to happen, dude. It's just not going to happen again. And so I had to look at my future personally, like in every way possible of like that. I didn't realize I had such an identity with, I was a soccer player. Yeah, I was a soccer coach. Yes, I'm a financial advisor. I didn't realize how big me associating myself as an athlete was.
Well, and you were a
Yeah.
Well, you are a CrossFit coach as well.
Exactly. So
another like athletic type role tied into that.
And it's like, I just never thought I would ever have to like cross that bridge. And I had to do it not on my own terms. That was just really hard for me to swallow. But I feel like I'm coming out of it now a little bit.
What were some things like, just like mentally that were going on that you were dealing with? Because like, I know you had mentioned before, like mindset, you had mentioned that a couple times.
Yeah.
And that's super important. And obviously when we talk about mindset, it's about, staying positive, being mentally strong. So what were you experiencing inside at that point?
Every possible thing you could imagine. Like literally I questioned, like, to give frame for where I was, like my marriage in terms of like, she doesn't deserve to be buried to me. Like she doesn't deserve me. I don't deserve this opportunity with this career. Like,
so when you say that real quick,
yeah.
When you said she doesn't deserve me, you mean like I don't deserve her, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That came off wrong.
Just wanted to clarify that for your wife.
For the audience. Yeah. No. Like I was just like, she doesn't deserve this person that I am. She deserves so much better. And I had to be so crystal clear with her. Like, I don't know what's going on with me. I'm not okay. I can assure you it's not you, though. Like, I know it's not you. Because if it was, like, me, like, I would tell you. So that was hard. So it, like, strained my marriage just from that perspective. Not that she was nothing on her side. It was literally a one-way street. Professionally, I, like, literally doubted myself. And on top of all this, in January of 23, I hired full-time. So that's a full-time salary, benefits, all the above on me, in addition to like going through this growing identity crisis. And then like I, quote, hit rock bottom. And
now you have somebody else's livelihood that you have to,
dude, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Like I don't take that lightly. And it was really hard for me to just like navigate that. And I think there's Alex Hormozy says this, and it's something to the effect. There's a moment when every boy becomes a man, when he realizes that no one's coming. Like no one is coming.
That just gave me chills, man.
It gives me chills when I like actually think about it. Because like I was going through this growing identity crisis. I hired someone full time, so I have that hanging over my head, personally, professionally, financially. It's straining my marriage. It's straining like my mental health, because like the gym was like it still is an outlet for me in that aspect, not just like being able to work out, just mental.
Right.
And like I just hit the hit the bottom, like during that experience that I mentioned with when I went to home office, when I truly like came to the realization of like, no one is fucking coming. No one is going to help me. No one is going to make me a better me. No one's going to pull me out of this. No one is going to help me see my business in a different light. Like no one is going to do that for me.
Right.
And so I like kind of went through this like trying to reinvent myself almost. And I still think I'm like kind of navigating and figuring out that new me. But it's been a journey that I'm trying really hard intentionally to enjoy it as much as I can. Because I think about so I'm 31 today. I think about where I was.
Happy birthday.
Well, I'm
it's not
March
today.
1st, I was
Okay.
31, but whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah. But I think about where I was 5 years ago and where my life was, my marriage, all the above. And I'm like, dude, I am so fucking blessed. Like, girl of my dreams, childhood sweetheart, high school sweetheart. We have a house together. We have a family together. We don't have kids. We have 2 dogs, but they're our family. I have my own business with complete autonomy, with unlimited earning potential. I don't work for anyone. I work for my clients. And I get to do that I truly don't hate what I do. Like I actually hate how much I like what I do because it just consumes me. Like I can't turn it off. And then on top of that, never in my ever once, even when we got married, did I ever think I'd be technically by law, I don't view it literally, but 50-50 salon owner, you know, because my wife's a hairstylist and I never thought on paper this would be my life. Right. And here I am at like rock bottom, trying to see that light. And I'm like, God damn, like it just illustrated to me how much like emphasis I put on that athlete portion of me.
Yeah.
And just how insignificant that truly is. Like, so what? You can't clean and jerk 300 pounds.
Yeah.
No one needs to do that, by the way. Like, I want to get up from a chair when I'm 80.
Absolutely.
That's the game I'm playing now versus the other game of cleaning 300 pounds.
Well, and honestly, like, is that awesome? Heck yeah, it's awesome. Like, there was, you know, I did CrossFit. I'm not doing too much CrossFit right now, but last summer I had a pretty bad wrist injury that I literally thought I broke it in the moment that it happened. I was
There's
actually
a lot going on in your wrist too.
and I was doing a clean and I just caught it wrong and I was throwing around heavier weight than I probably should have. But that was like my mentality. I was like, I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be lifting a heavier weight and I was getting stronger and stronger. And it was exciting. But then after that injury, like it's not like career ending. I still do like some CrossFit movements and whatnot. But I'm definitely more like aware and conscious of like, I'm doing this for my long-term health.
Yep.
I'm 28 years old. I'm not old. I'm not young. But there's definitely parts of me that I'm like, I don't do that the same as I used to.
Oh yeah.
And like, I don't need, like today I was deadlifting in the gym, but you know, it was just for like 225 pounds and I'm did 6 sets of it, multiple reps, where like, I feel like I could have easily a year ago been like, no, dude, I deadlift like 350 plus. Right. Like I don't need to.
Right.
It's not about that. Like you said, like I want to be able to, I don't remember exactly what you said, but like I want to sit up or like be able to stand up when I'm 80.
Trying
like
to get up from a chair on my own, dude.
My grandpa is 95 years old, works out every day, and he's not bragging about him doing a clean and jerk of 300 pounds when he was in his late 20s or early 30s.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. So you brought up a really good point there.
Yeah, and it's just the perspective changed of like it's truly I'm playing a long game now. And you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, is what they always say. And it's like, well, it really is now. Like it was fun in my early late 20s. Like it was fun. Like I was back in my heyday. I was doing the thing, and it was cool. And do I miss it? Of course. Of course, dude. It's fun. That's why you do it. It's why you push yourself. But as things evolve, like the salon evolves, the practice evolves, and it requires more of your time and energy. And it's like, well, that's more valuable. The dollar signs around your time start adding up pretty quick
Yeah.
as you grow. And it's like, man, like as much as I want to spend an hour and a half at the gym, it's really not that much time, honestly. I can't.
Right. It's honestly
I
not
just
that much time.
can't.
And I've been finding, I don't know if you find this, like, obviously I can just, I am one of your clients, right? And I see how much passion you have for what you do and how excited you get just like about this. Like you said, you hate how much you love it. I don't know if you experienced this, but today, like I had so much to get ready for. We had the podcast this afternoon. I had to handle a lot. One of my listings went live yesterday, and we're getting a lot of interest, offers, everything. So my phone's blown up, and I'm also doing 75 hard right now, which I haven't talked to too many people about. I don't. I'm like 20, so
dude, you're close to like the point of no return.
Yeah, which right now I'm like, it's already, I'm gonna finish it. It's already done in my mind. And I haven't blasted this on social media, so hopefully this doesn't air too soon. And then,
Right.
But maybe I'll be done by the time by the time we air this. Maybe not. But I caught myself in the gym today. You have to do 2 45-minute workouts,
Indoor and outdoor.
and indoor, outdoor. And typically my indoor workouts are about an hour regardless. It doesn't matter if it's just 45 minutes. But today I'm like, I couldn't wait for this 45 minutes to be done because I had so much stuff to do. And honestly, lately I've been feeling in the gym that like, obviously I'm taking care of myself. This is a priority. That's why I knock it out first thing in the morning. But like my mind is always like, I need to get to what I have to get to today. So today was such a struggle, and all I did was 45 minutes. Like, do you ever experience that in the gym where you're like, I got other stuff to do, I can't do this right now?
There's plenty of days to where I just don't want to go, like just straight up. And of course you feel better after, right? But
100%.
and when I'm there, it's like the mentality changes from like progressing, getting better, growing to like, I'm checking this box.
That's how I felt today.
And that's okay right now. It's not every day I'm not doing that. But today that's okay. And there are definitely days to where, candidly, like I just turn to Sierra, I'm like, hey, do you want to snuggle or do you want to go to the gym?
I love that.
And, you know, this morning, actually, I said that to her. And she's like, well, and, you know, she's tired. She says, well, I want to go to the gym. And I was like, God damn it. Okay, fine. So
we're going to the gym.
Yeah. And then sometimes she says, well, give me 10 minutes. And I'm like, I'm not getting up in 10 minutes. So I'm going back to sleep. So, yeah, there's plenty of days like that happen. Yeah.
Well, and honestly, like you said before, you've changed. Your identity has changed as well, in the sense of like, you're not just an athlete. Like it's bigger picture than that. So it's like, I'm sure prior to feeling that change, like it would have been harder for you to be like, let me just allow myself some rest.
Dude, because before I was like notorious for like so consistent. Like I wouldn't miss a day. You know, I coach every Thursday, 5 and 6 a.m. So that was like my quote off day, even though I'm getting up earlier and staying up later. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm there. Friday, Saturday, I'm there. Like off on, like that was so rigid. And that's another thing about like this new me. Like I'm trying to, with areas that I can get away with it, like not in my business, but in other areas where I can be a little less rigid, a little more flex, a little more give, to where I don't need to be so like regimented on some things. But at the same time, that making came from like my experience of like club soccer in high school and college soccer, being a student athlete, of like you're taking 15 to 18 credits, you're training every day for 2 hours, you got to maintain a certain GPA, and then the spring season's even harder. So I had to learn like time management, and that time management component of from age 16 to 22, which are pretty formative years of your life. Those like skills that I kind of developed just carried over because it was all I knew until they didn't matter, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
You know, they do matter in certain contexts,
Right.
but there's other contexts where like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and
you know?
priorities change.
Like when I'm home, I have to try, and it's so hard for me. I'm still working on it, of just like really turning off. I got an iPhone a year and change ago, maybe. We switched carriers with the salon and business and stuff. And I discovered Do Not Disturb
Yeah.
and sleep mode. Like, no joke, like 6 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That is a life changer. I
was
say
like,
I use
dude,
it.
this is fucking cool. Like,
My phone's on Do Not Disturb right now.
Yeah, I keep my phone on sleep mode now because I'm like, this is great. Because this is totally off the cuff. Do you know if there's a way you can set a mode where you only receive texts from certain people and like email notifications, but no social media notifications or anything?
I think
There's got to be a way.
Yeah, we can talk after this because I've actually had to change a lot of the settings in my phone.
Right.
Like I've removed notifications altogether on certain things.
Right.
Specifically social media.
Right.
I have my email on my phone, but I do not get any notifications because if I allowed that,
Oh yeah,
like
you're always looking.
my night would be ruined,
For
my
sure.
mornings would be ruined.
Yeah.
But do not disturb and sleep mode are very crucial, especially being in a role where you have clients.
Got to be accessible.
Because I always tell people like, hey, I'm always available. And I probably should change that because like, let's be honest, I'm not always available. I have a wife, I have 2 kids, 2 little kids, so their days end earlier than ours. Like usually they're between 7 and 8 o'clock. Lately it's been 8 o'clock, we're putting them to bed. So like if I don't put my phone away or put it on Do Not Disturb, like from 5 to 7 or 6 to 8, I'm getting blown up still. So one thing that I do use for like the sleep mode is like I keep it on sleep mode and probably till like 8 in the morning. So that way, like my morning routine when I'm getting up between 5:30, I wake up, I can spend time in the Word, spend time journaling, and spend time with myself, and even go to the gym without my phone blowing up.
Right. Totally get that. Yeah. I do a decent job at that for the most part.
But I get what you're saying. Like it's hard to turn it off.
It's hard. Yeah. I mean, it's hard when you care about it, and like you're putting so much into it because you see the long term, you see the big picture, and the big picture doesn't exist without this little picture right now. So you get so consumed in like, this matters so much. But it's like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. Someone's not dying. Like,
Exactly. That's exactly it. And this is a saying that in real estate, and I'm sure you can translate it to any world, is like in a real estate transaction, usually it is not life or death. Like I would say 99 out of 100 it's not life or death. Obviously we have dates and deadlines that have to be met. Time is of the essence. But usually you're not going to put yourself in a super time sensitive, like very bad situation unless you're very not organized and you have no system.
Well, everything is calculated. That's why people work with a realtor. That's why they work with a loan officer. That's why they work with an advisor. It should be calculated, and to a degree, for sure.
Yeah. So I do want to ask you how I've known that you've been a financial advisor for years now, right? But like,
Coming up on 5, yeah.
You told me that you weren't necessarily looking for it, right? It presented itself to you. So how did you get involved into the world?
There's kind of like an aura around the career of like, you don't find it, it finds you. And so a little backstory. So my cousin works at home office. She's moved her way up and now she's big time. But she would always say to me once I was in college, because they have a great internship program, hey, you should check this out. Hey, you should check this out. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, whatever. Because in my mind, I was like soccer. And then eventually I was like junior, senior year. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Pretty good at this coaching soccer thing. And then I kind of just said to my coach one day at Whitewater, my senior year, I was like, I think I want to coach soccer. I didn't know anything else. And I know that to be a college coach, you need like a master's and there's like this thing called a graduate assistant, which means you go coach on a team, a program, men's or women's, and you're an assistant coach, so assistant coach duties, and you go to grad school, but like you get paid by your tuition by being a coach. Like that's how you. So it's like basically almost free.
Yeah.
For masters, and then you do that, and then you move on. You get a job at another school or whatever. So I was like, I want to do that. Can you help me find an opportunity? And he said to me, he looked me dead in the eye. He's like, what's it going to take for you to do that here? I was like, whatever it would take anywhere else, free tuition.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, let's make it happen. And I said to him, I was like, that's it? Really? He's like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I stayed there, got my master's at Whitewater, and then
What was your master's in?
higher education leadership with an emphasis in athletic administration.
Interesting.
It's a very good degree for anyone in college athletics, in any position, exclusively only. So
that's your world.
Yeah, like but after that, you know, can't like throughout this time of my coaching journey, she's just kind of like poking the bear of like, you should check this out. Like, I think you'd be really good. And I'm like, hey, thanks, but no thanks. Because after Whitewater, I did my master's there, and then I moved on to be the head coach at Rockford University. The job opened up, and I talked to my coach about it. I was like, hey, this position to open up, and at the time, I'm 24. I'm 24, about to turn 25. I was like, I don't know, man. Head coach is kind of a big move for a 24-year-old.
Yeah,
like,
sounds like it.
like, am I ready? He's like, oh, yeah. It's like, dude, you run the place here. I was like, no, I don't. Like, it's not true. I know I don't. You just let me do things. That's all. He's like, no, you should apply. And so I applied. Long story short, I was the fourth choice there. But either way, got the opportunity. And I was like, okay, this is the start. This is not where I'm going to end. And then I dove in head first. And I'm going to a program that is, I don't want to disrespect it. They're just not good.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's in the armpit of Illinois, Rockford. So just take that for what it is. And I'm building the program. The program never had like a winning season. And I come in and I should know this. We went like 8-9-2 or something. Or something like that. And it was like a really good year. But me coming from where I came, a top 25 program every year, year in and year out, I was like, dude, that's terrible. That's not even 500. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, why am I getting all this praise? But I was doing a lot of good things on like the recruiting side, like just bringing, because like at a school like that, it's just about numbers.
100%.
An athletic department is just an extension of admissions, right? You're just bringing in athletes to play. That's all. So I did a good job at that. And then the second year rolls around, the schedule's harder than it was because I inherited a schedule. And then the second season, like I was like, no, like if this program is going to grow, it needs to be challenged all the time. So I made a harder schedule intentionally. We had better players. We were a better team. We were competitive. It was like we were losing games like 2-1 with like 20 minutes left. But we were competitive. Like we were turning heads. Like coaches, other coaches in the conference across the, you know, the scape would say like, you're doing things here, dude. Like this program does not look anything like it used to. And I'm like, thanks. I appreciate that. We still lost. Like that's where my head was. And then one night I'm driving home, Rockford. It's like a Tuesday or Wednesday. It's like 9:00. And so
and you were living in Wisconsin
in
here?
Waukesha.
Oh, wow.
So I was just going to say, we moved in together back into 2017, proposed March of 2018. I took the job in January of 2018, proposed in March of 18, bought a house, our current house, in summer of 18. First season was in 18. Roll around, second season's in 19. And I'm living in Waukesha. So Waukesha to Rockford every day.
Yeah.
And I was also a club coach as well, which was 3 nights a week plus the weekends all year.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. So one night, fall of 19, I'm driving home, and I'm just like not happy with myself, with the program, because we're just coming off a season that was like really hard. And of course, I'm like beating myself up and blaming myself about everything. And I remember earlier that day when I walked down the athletic department, like I just kind of saw the writing on the walls, of like there at that institution, it was young coaches like me or 25-year people. There was no like 8-10 year people.
Sure.
And I kind of saw the writing in the walls. I was like, I need to get out of here now.
Right now.
Because I can see this place is a black hole. And there's a lot of coaches there that would do a good job of bringing recruits in, barely be competitive, but they would satisfy their requirement of student athletes from an admissions perspective. And they like were like bottom 3 in the conference every year. And it was just like a running joke. And I'm like, God, dude, this is not me. Like, I got to get out now. So on the way home, I called my cousin, or maybe I emailed her. I don't remember. But I was like, I think we can have a conversation now.
Yeah.
Don't know about what, but like literally anything would be great. And at that point, I was like kind of coming to terms of like, I don't know if I want to be a college coach anymore. Because I naively got into it, I think, because I didn't know what else was there.
That's what you knew, right?
That's all I knew. And so we had a conversation. She introduced me to someone introduced me to someone else. Long story short, I get offered an opportunity to join the firm, and I sat on it for like 3 weeks because I was 26, going on 27, something like that. Whatever. It's irrelevant. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to get out of college coaching because I knew at that point if I got out, I'm not getting back in.
Yeah.
And I accept the offer. Me and Sierra go on a honeymoon that year, end of 2019. We didn't go right away because we were broke. And in 2019 over Christmas. So like literally we spent the Christmas Day on the beach in Mexico. It was awesome. But then we actually left our honeymoon early because it was like a Disney movie nightmare, honestly. Like that, we could talk about that offline. But
I want to hear about it.
We left early.
Yeah.
We left early, long story short. And then I'm thinking this whole time about this opportunity. So I take it, I accept it. The next day, I get not one, I get 2 phone calls from the athletic director at UW Eau Claire. And they're starting a men's soccer program. So when a school starts a men's soccer program, they usually get the coach in for one cycle before the season. So they were starting in 2021, and they wanted me to start in 2020 to get a full year cycle under them for recruiting purposes. 2 phone calls, 2 voicemails within 3 hours of each other. Hey, we want to interview you. Hey, we want to interview you. I applied for that job in like late September, and it's December. So, and it was the next day. And I think truly, if I would receive that phone call 3 days earlier, I'd probably been like, hey, Sierra, I got to go drive for this interview real quick. But then I thought about it after I accepted. I was like, if I accept it, I'm in probably a similar position I'm in now 3 years later.
Exactly.
Making maybe a little more money, 3 hours away from family. And you're a hairstylist with reoccurring clients, so now you're starting over. We just bought our house, so there's that. You get that. And we're away from family if and or when we do have kids. This doesn't make sense. So I'm glad it didn't work out.
Yeah. That timing was crucial.
Because I was a very good candidate for that job, and I would have been a very good coach there. Started in 2020. Kind of naively got in, honestly, getting to like my point now. Didn't really know what I was getting into. Just knew I was getting into something that was like, this is all on me.
Yeah.
And no one else.
100%.
And I don't know anything about anything. I was a college coach going into financial services. I was a general management undergrad, athletic admin masters. We're talking, finance, night and day.
Different worlds.
But you can learn anything.
Exactly.
If you work hard enough and like give yourself time and all that, and give yourself like you can do it. So I just bet on me in saying this opportunity, because I kept thinking about this future me like I always did. And I was like, everything that I see for my and our future, where I am right now, this opportunity I have is not going to get that. Not even close. Whatever it is, it's going to be settling. And I'm not about that. And so what happened was I said, I'm going to bet on myself. And basically burn the ships and never look back. Like I didn't give myself a plan B. I didn't have a plan B. I interviewed to be a salesperson at like Leaf Guard selling gutters, for example. Like those were the kinds of plan Bs I had. And I was like, nah, that's not me. I'm not doing that. I needed something really big that I could chew on for a long time.
Yeah. And do you, like, this is related, but do you know if there's a statistic that your company tracks of
More than likely, yes. I guarantee.
Yeah, right. I kind of figured it would. Of like how many, I've met many financial
Success
advisors.
rate of an advisor?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. 1 in 10 make it after 1 year.
Yeah.
And then that 10% or that one, I don't have a statistic on that, but not many reach the 5th year. But if you reach the 5th year, there's a 96% chance you retire with a company.
Right.
So
I just like, the thing is I want to pause on that for a sec. Like that is, because I've met many people who
it's the hardest thing
who've been advisors, and all of a sudden you meet somebody who's now become an advisor, and it's like the automatic thought for me, and I'm sure for some other people, is like, and I didn't have this thought on you, but like, yeah, we'll see how long they do that for.
We'll see.
That's
the thought with a lot of people. Yeah.
And the thing is like me
I've had
getting
clients tell me that, by the way.
Me getting into real estate, I had that all the time too. Oh, we'll see. And I had people in my life saying, good thing you have a finance degree. You can always fall back on that.
Right.
And that's like, it's like the biggest, you know, you just want to say, F you, I'm going to do this. Just wait until you see.
So that's actually good to get into like the motivation and the why a little bit. Because in the beginning, it was really simple for me. Don't lose all my fucking money.
Yeah.
That was it. And like,
I feel that.
I need to make, then it was like, I need to make money. I just got to pay my bills, whatever. I got to do my part in this thing. Then it became, in spite of all those people. And then it became like a little bit longer term of a vision of like, okay, I'm a little more settled in. I don't really know where I'm going, but I know I'm going somewhere. I just don't really know where. And so the why and the motivation kind of changed along the way. And I think, especially in like an entrepreneurship type journey, I think it's really important. The reason and the why and the purpose and the motivation in the beginning, it usually is not that in the end.
Exactly.
Because here's something else I've kind of gathered is, we're always told to like pursue our dreams, pursue our passion, at least when we were young. Right. And like, here's something else too. Another frame. I see things like what we were told, you know, get into a school, get a degree. Realistically, they didn't say it, but hopefully get a job, because no one wants to give experience, but everyone wants experience. And then you start making, 50, 60, whatever. It's out of school. It's cool. Then you move out from mom and dad's, and then you start incurring, 6 months later, student loans kick in. Because, by the way, that's what happens when you take a loan. You got to pay it back. And then all of a sudden, you move out, living expenses. Okay, you still have a decent surplus because you don't really have a ton of, like, I'm going to buy a car. So, and then you get into like this debt picture of like, well, I don't have the budget to save money. It's like, yes, you do. You're just choosing to go do stuff on the weekend and be party like you're still in college, whatever. And so then it's like, well, I can't save money to buy a house. And so my point being is like, just like I tell all the young kids, I'm like, dude, just stay at home 1 more year.
Exactly.
Make 50 grand and live at home for 1 year. Move out with like 30, 40 in the bank. Your life's going to be exponentially better just from that. Like, and
absolutely.
You get that, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not really sure where I was going with that, but But yeah, the motivation changes along the way.
It totally does.
And
yeah. I'll touch on that quick. Like when I first, kind of like what you were saying before, it's like, don't lose all my money. And then it gets to like start making money. I think I've talked about this on other podcasts before, but when I first got into real estate, I was not married. I was a single guy. I had just come home from a nearly a year-long deployment, and I had money saved in the bank. And I was like, I'm going to bet on myself I can do this. Started selling real estate right away and was crushing it, and was really excited. A friend of mine and
low interest rate environment.
Yeah, low interest rate environment for sure. A friend of mine and I, and this was actually in 2019, so rates weren't as like incredible as they were in 2020, but they were significantly better than they are now. I'll say that. Friend of mine and I started another business. That's a whole nother story we don't have to talk about. But I got back into real estate, and along this journey, I met my wife, and we had our first child. We had our first child in October of 2020, and I was like, I need to go back into real estate because I'm not making anything right now in this other business.
Yeah.
So what was my motivation then? It was literally to survive and provide for my family. And like, not even just like provide, but like I said, survive. And then we get past the point of survival. And then I had a point of like, well, what's next? What is my motivator now? Because for so long, all I was trying to do was to figure out how to keep my head above water and not drown. So I totally get that your motivation has to change, and like your purpose, you have to come into your purpose in order to like continue to figure out like, what's going to keep me moving here?
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of what keeps me going is just like an internal drive, but also just like the passion for what I do and wanting to provide like in a truly incredible life for my wife and for my kids and for myself too, selfishly. You know, I want to have an incredible life as well. So I want to talk about like the purpose and whatnot for what you do, because you had mentioned like, in order to find your identity, you have to like be in your purpose too.
Totally. Yeah, it's actually funny you say that. I have a sticky note on my bathroom mirror that says living on purpose, with purpose, and in purpose. Like literally.
And did you coin that term? Did you come up with that?
I did not come up with that. I don't remember where I
like
saw
it though.
I don't remember where I saw it. I saw it somewhere. I didn't come up with it. But going back really quick, like about the purpose, we're always taught pursue your passion, right? Chase your dreams. But I think usually when it comes to what you're passionate about, it's something you're probably good at. And to get good at something, you have to do it a lot. And to do something a lot, you have to start. And usually when you start, you suck.
100%.
Right? And so I think a lot of people never find their passion, or their passion is in a different area or a different avenue that they never thought of or were really open to. I never thought ever I would be a financial advisor. Not once, ever. I was always intrigued with money. I always liked money. Who wouldn't?
Right.
It was always, it's confusing. It was confusing to me. So that was like kind of pushed me away from it because it was hard to learn. Right. But then you start leaning into it of, well, I'm not good at it. And then you start getting good at it. And then you start doing it a lot. And then you start actually liking it. And the next thing you know, it's like, I really like this thing. And I never thought I would. And so when it comes to like the purpose, I like naively stumbled into this almost. And I kind of just, you handed the ball to me and I just kind of ran aimlessly, and I kind of found my way. I had some guidance and some mentors, some really good ones. I've heard a lot of good people speak and have taken in a lot of good nuggets, but I don't really know how or where I found my purpose. I just truly, like, I now can't see myself doing anything else. I can't envision a future where I'm not doing this. because I see, even for my wife too, I see the platform of her with the salon, the platform of me with my practice. It's not about Sierra or me, like selfishly. It's truly, I can see it about the impact and the legacy. It's even for you, like you get to be a part of probably maybe two their biggest transaction in their entire life. And I know that you don't take that lightly,
Definitely
nor should
not.
anyone. That's a really big deal, right? And I'm similar in the sense of like I get to be a part of someone's journey, to where I work with them and they're engaged, and then they get married, and then they go on their honeymoon, and I get to hear about how the wedding was. I get to hear about the terrible best man speech. I get to hear about the honeymoon, and then next thing you know, they're pregnant, and I'm getting a text from Mr. or Mrs. saying, "Hey, heads up, don't tell anyone." I mean, what do you mean, don't tell? Like, yeah, you're one of like the only people who know. Me? Okay. Did you tell your sister? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I'm getting invited to their wedding, and then next thing you know, we're planning for their kids. We're opening a 529. We're planning comprehensively. And the next thing you know, they're introducing me to their so-and-so and whatever. And it's like this thing just starts taking off. And it's like, holy, like, wow, this is kind of silly. Like, and then one day you wake up and you see how much, you see the impact you have. Like you actually like, you know, when you are so present and do you drink coffee?
Oh yeah.
And you just take a sip of your coffee and you're like, man, this is a good cup of coffee. And like,
Every
you're
morning.
really present in that moment. Sometimes I have those moments to where, you know, maybe it's the beginning or the end of the day, and I'm like, man, this is huge. And I'm coming up on 5 years in. You know what I'm saying? Imagine that feeling when I'm 20 years in. And I have a team of people, and it's me and 2 or 3 other advisors running an entity and a firm. And now, you know, Matt on the team is working with Tiffany and Ben's kids as their advisor. So we're doing generational planning, right? And then we're planning your estate plan. Like it's just, it's never a path I saw. But the purpose became in that identity crisis I went through. Like it switched pretty quick to where like, dude, you really have like, you're the steward of some really big stuff. And I had to kind of like swallow that one and be like, damn, I need to act like it. I need to live like it. I need to be it, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about briefly before how difficult it is to make it in this field. Like you said, 1 in 10 will make it through the first year, and even less than that make it 5 years. Here you are 5 years in. Like what is a difference maker? Like, what do you think? Because you even said before, this is like the hardest thing you've ever done, right?
Yeah.
So what makes you different than everybody else?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. What makes me different? That sounds like naive, but I think I have some ingredients, if you will, that I would kind of fall back on. I think I have like this sense of like, I feel not entitled, but I feel like I am destined and meant to do really big things. Like my place, my purpose on this earth is more than just talking to someone about their money. Like I really do feel that. I also have this, I don't know why, I was raised in like middle class America, like the definition, like not poor, not wealthy or rich, just like very much really lived within their means. And my parents have done very well for themselves with the resources they have. But I've always had this sense of like inferiority, like I don't deserve it. It's never enough. I'm going to be a failure. So I just keep like running from that almost as a motivator.
Yeah.
I have kind of selfishly tuning my own horn. Like pretty good work ethic. And I'm just really convicted with not what I do for a living, but like with a lot of things I feel and believe, my perspectives, my philosophies. Like I'm a very convicted person. Anyone who would describe me, if you said describe Josh in 5 words, I feel like convicted, or like a synonym of it would probably be one of the words they'd say. So I guess that's what sets me apart.
Yeah.
It's nothing great. Like I get up at 5 a.m. I meal prep my food. I go to the gym. I pay my credit card bill. Yes, I use a credit card.
Hey, I think everyone should.
It's like,
don't abuse it.
Yeah, right? You need credit. But I'm just like most people. I tell that to all my clients. I'm like, I put my pants on, left leg, then right leg. Or actually, I'm right. So I'm right down. So I go right, then left. But like, I'm just like you, dude. Like I just know some stuff about money. You're just like me. You just know how real estate works. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I try a lot to like humble myself when it comes to that. But also when I'm in front of someone in a professional context regarding their planning, I just kind of like go into the mode.
Yeah.
Like you would, and when I say go into the mode, I mean it from like a very genuine, like, no. We really got to think about this. Is a big deal. Like, you know, you can put 50 grand down because you got 50 grand saved up, but then you realize you don't have any money. Like,
right.
Like,
yeah.
Come on. Like,
Not
let's
the best
think about
idea.
this, right?
Exactly.
So,
no, but I know what you mean. Like, and I don't know if this is what you were exactly referring to, but today I was in the barber shop, as you could probably see. Guy in the chair next to me, they start talking about real estate. So like right away, all of a sudden my gears start churning. And of course, like, and my barber knows I'm in real estate. The barber right next to him, also a super good friend of mine, knows I'm in real estate. So he starts asking me questions. So it's like, I just know that like the second I start hearing it, everything starts moving in my mind. And I'm like, I get into my zone. And it's in the sense of like, yeah, sure, I was sitting here just relaxing, getting my hair cut, but I can flip it on as soon as I have to and just like put my realtor hat on. Not that it ever really comes off, but like that, and the people around you know that too. So like they can come to you, and like the barber next to him was like, yeah, you know what? They simply just asked me like, what's the down payment that people do? And I'm like, well, then we get into a whole conversation.
How long
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
So I get that 100%. And by no means, like, I think it's not being like it's not humble to talk about that kind of stuff in the sense of like, you've made it as far as you have, and it should be recognized. And also, if I remember correctly, you're like, in our world in real estate, we would call it like a top producer. I don't know exactly what you guys would call it, but like you're a top producer in your field, and there is something that what you do that's different than others, and likely it's the way that you're able to connect with others, and when you speak to someone, you make them feel a certain way that brings their guard down, and because in my world, and I know in your world, probably more in your world, walls go up immediately the second they know who you are.
Oh yeah. It's it's common that I'll get either, when I say referred, I mean like you give me someone's phone number, or introduced, which is the preferred way. That person's walls go up, or they say, it's like when you walk into Best Buy, and the person greets you, hey, you looking for, can I help you? Or whatever they say. And you're like, no, I'm just looking.
Exactly.
It's like bullshit. You didn't walk into Best Buy to just look.
Right.
You came to look at a camera. You came to look at a fridge, whatever. You're here for something. You're not just stumbling around Best Buy. And it's a little different, the context, because like I'm calling someone that I'm getting introduced to, like that's different. But Ben said that you were a good guy. We should chat. No expectations or assumption you need anything. I would love to find 15 minutes to see if there's any reason we should chat further. And like, I just try to position it really low barrier of like, dude, it's a conversation. Every relationship starts the same way. No money, no obligation, no expectation. I'll shoot you straight. And if it makes sense, cool, let's keep talking, see where that takes us. But if it doesn't, like, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Because what I think people don't understand is like you and I are business owners. And if like there's not an opportunity or it's not worth pursuing, whether it's short, near, far, we're not going to like,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and if you can also identify there is an opportunity, it is significant, it's just not a priority to you, there's not much I'm going to say that's going to change that in you.
Right. I'm not going to twist your arm into
What are you going to do? Convince me to buy a house?
Yeah, right.
Probably
Like,
not, dude. Like,
yeah.
it's just not going to happen. Right. But, and it's the same thing when in my world. So I candidly, I think I try to do a really good job of being super transparent and super honest and telling people everything they need to know. This is what we're going to talk about. This is why we're going to talk about it. I'm going to explain why I'm different. I'm going to explain why me. I'm going to sell you on me. And then if you say, cool, what are the next steps? This is what it looks like. We're going to talk. I'm going to go through some plan. If it makes sense and you say yes, I'll kind of read the room. And if you give me a thumbs up, we'll go down that path. And if it doesn't, we'll hit the pause button. But assuming we get to that point and we cross that bridge, I'll put it into writing. And we will see where that takes us. You're running this show. I'm facilitating it. You're here to work out at 5 and 6 a.m. on Thursday morning. That's why you came. I'm here to facilitate that experience.
Right.
To make sure you get the best experience. You're safe. You're properly warmed up. You're moving correctly. You're not going to hurt yourself or other people. I'm just like facilitating your fitness journey. I'm not doing your fitness. I'm not saving your money.
Right.
I'm facilitating how you save your money. I tell all my clients, if I know the why behind what you want to do, I promise you I will make how we get there super meaningful. I promise you. So like, of course, I want to know the numbers, the income, the balance sheet, the benefits, of course. That's the nerdy stuff, of course. But I got to know like you.
Exactly.
I got to know who you are. Like, why do you want to save for Johnny's college? Well, it's because my parents didn't save anything for me. Now I got $100,000 student debt. Fuck, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Like
now we found the real reason.
Right.
Like in my world, it's a lot of times, I'll ask people like, what has you considering moving? And, let's say it's a first time home buyer. Oh, well, my lease is coming up. Okay. Honestly, that's not a good enough reason to want to buy a house right now. And we always have to dig deeper and find the real meaning and the real motivation behind things, because otherwise, like, if that doesn't exist, then it doesn't make sense to do that. Like, if you don't have a reason to save your money, you're going to blow it all. If you don't have a vision of what the future looks like and you don't start planning for it now, then it's never going to happen because you don't have the vision for that. And then there's you who comes into place who can help people see that vision too while you're facilitating the process.
And I think there's a lot of parallels where you and I, like, we're just trying to help people like think about that vision, because we think about it every day. They don't. Right. So we're trying to like pull it out of you so you can actually, maybe you're actually thinking about it for the first time. Of like, what do I want this to look like when I'm 10 years from now? Right. I'm making decent money. I would like to buy a house. Cool. When do you want to buy one? In 3 years? In 5 years? In 6 years? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Okay. Got it. Why do you want to buy a house? Why do you say it on a limb? Like, just asking those deeper questions to really get to know what makes them tick. And then doors open for relationship building opportunities. Right. And so I enjoy it a lot.
Well, since we're coming up on time, is there anything that we didn't cover that, you want to touch on, and anything at all?
No, not really. The biggest thing, I guess I would say from like a business perspective, I'm biased. I would love to chat with someone if they're open to it, but I'm really just advocating for people to work with someone. Like, I would never in my wildest dreams ever try to do any sort of real estate transaction on my own. Never. Never, ever, ever, ever. And I think most people would probably agree with that about buying a house or whatever. I feel like it's the same thing with like your financial planning with your retirement, which isn't a transaction that's like a lifelong journey. And then when you get to retirement, you're not working, gaining income. You're now living off of your savings.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I want to like haphazardly do that? Why would I want to do that on a limb? I feel like that's just such a big risk. That's so unnecessary. So I just really advocate for people to work with someone, whoever it is.
Well, before we wrap up, I mean, where can people connect with you? Where can they learn more?
Yeah, so I'm on all sorts of platforms. I mean, my email, we can put that in the notes of the show.
Yeah, we'll put in the link.
My phone number, I'm more than happy to put that in the show notes. I will block you, just warning you, so don't be that guy. My LinkedIn, my Facebook. I have a personal and a professional Facebook. My Instagram. I'm on Twitter, but like barely. X, sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty accessible in just about any way.
Yeah, we'll definitely put it all in the show notes so that people can connect with you. And, you know, if people want to learn more, you're definitely the go-to guy. So thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah. It's been an awesome conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for making it to the end of the episode. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for episodes just like this one. We'll see you soon.